This video is brought to you by brighttutoring.ca. Don't let school get in the way of your education. Book a tutoring session today at brighttutoring.ca. The Fellowship of Guelphissauga continues, with the mayor traveling abroad to find his European inspiration. He flew all the way to Copenhagen in Denmark to attend a week-long vacay-conference on healthy urban planning with his YIMBY friends. The mayor returned home with a report of his 10 points of European inspiration to help bring his YIMBY dreams to the Shire. Can Carly of Klassen and the Elder Elves do anything about the housing cost crisis? And did the mayor learn anything useful in Copenhagen? After his stay in New York City, the mayor journeyed to the second stage of his vacation. He took a direct flight to Copenhagen in Denmark for 6 days of another vacay conference. This time, he was there to learn about healthy urban planning. The conference's goal was to push YIMBY policies to help the mayor's property developer friends sustain healthy profits from collecting inflated rent and condo fees. The mayor took serious notes and compiled a list of his top 10 takeaways from the vacay conference. He hoped to implement some of them in the Shire upon his return. After taking selfies in the airport, the mayor returned home from his extended vacation. He was hoping to run into the Lord of the Liberals at the baggage collection like last time he traveled, but he instead stood there alone. He looked around the Shire's airport for a newspaper to read, but he couldn't find anything thanks to the Guelph Mercury getting defunded. So he took out his phone and went through the first world inconvenience of Googling his own news. The mayor stumbled upon a website called Rental Registry. It was an online platform where tenants can list their monthly rent, which is then visualized on an interactive map for public scrutiny. The website was a joint effort between the Angus Reid Institute, the University of Toronto, and others. It had over 6,000 posts, with 50 of them being in the Shire. The mayor chuckled at the 34% increase in rent over the past year in the Angus Reid data, which was an obvious outcome of the housing cost crisis. He figured he could simply play the blame game again and get the big blue orc to front the bill. This was the same strategy he was taking with the cost of the damage to the historical stone wall on the OR. The next day in the Council of Elders chambers, the mayor showed everyone his selfies from his vacay conference. He summoned the entire council for a 2-hour-long meeting to watch his slideshow of vacation photos. The Elder Elves, Carly of Klassen, and Aaron of Caton dozed off as the mayor rambled on about his 10 points of European inspiration. "I want to fight for this," the mayor said, as he pushed the council to vote on immediately implementing these changes. After 90 minutes, the mayor finally finished his slideshow. There were 3 of his 10 inspirational points that he wanted to implement right away. The first one was his 10th point about parking. The mayor was inspired by the small streets and speedy mass transit in Denmark. He wanted to reimagine people living without the need for cars, which could free up the parking spaces for housing. But the Elder Elves knew this was a bad idea with the current state of the Shire. Several minimum wage earners and students are already living in their cars, so the conversion from parking to housing has already happened. There's no need to eliminate parking minimums to encourage that change. The mayor's proposal to entirely eliminate parking minimums downtown was shot down with a vote of 10 to 3. But freshly inspired by his vacay conference, the mayor connected the topic at hand to climate change. If you take the climate change crisis seriously, if you take the affordability issue seriously, if you want to try to help people move, this is the way to go, the mayor argued. He bargained it down to 0.85 parking spaces per unit from 1 per unit, which the Elder Elves accepted with a vote of 11 to 2. Now the mayor's orcish friends can build 15% less parking spaces as people in the Shire battle with living in their cars. The second change the mayor wanted to see from his European inspiration was improving public transit. He finally received the report from the Sunshine Listers on the impact of offering free bus rides to high school students and seniors. They cautioned the council about the financial cost of free rides, with an anticipated loss of $950,000 in annual fare revenue. There would also be over $1 million in extra yearly operating expenses. They instead recommended expanding the existing affordable bus pass program and introducing fare capping for more users. The mayor was annoyed by the report, as it didn't give him another reason to cut parking minimums. The meeting dragged on past its 2-hour limit as the mayor rambled on about his European inspiration. The Elder Elves were getting annoyed, and Aaron of Caton had fallen asleep. After another 30 minutes, the meeting finally ended, and most of the council left the room. They left Caton alone in the empty council chambers as she dreamed of bringing back masks and drooled rainbows. The Council of Elders didn't want to sit through another of the mayor's boring vacation slideshows, so they directed the Sunshine Listers to find ways to restrict his strong mayor powers. Based on the mayor's 9th point of European inspiration, the Council of Elders proposed a Lobbyist Registry to bring accountability and transparency to the mayor's strong powers. The registry would include information such as the name and address of the business, name of the lobbyist, details about the matter at issue, who is to be lobbied, and the length of each lobbying session. The mayor currently delegated his main strong powers to the Chief Accountability Officer, but he can change that at a whim or for any future mayor. Carly of Klassen was also annoyed by the mayor's lengthy meeting. Instead of falling asleep like Aaron of Caton did, Carly wrote a letter about the mayor's YIMBY approach. She argued that the council's approval process for housing, such as the Heritage Committee, is not, quote, getting in the way of development, as the property developers allege. All the property orcs have to do is simply follow the rule of the ward. If they go full YIMBY mode, like the mayor wants, then they will face administrative delays or denials. A community-centered approach can still be a profitable one, Carly wrote. Can Carly of Klassen and the Elder Elves do anything about the housing cost crisis? And did the mayor learn anything useful in Copenhagen? Stay tuned here to see.